we're going to have a go at fixing the indicator stalk. And the problem is when you go around a corner, turning right, you turn the steering wheel straight again, this is not springing back up. Works fine on that side, but not on that side. So I'm going to have a go at taking it off and having a look at it. Now, I think you can just take this off by taking off this rubber gaiter here. And there are 2 screws behind there. I've never taken one of these off, so we're about to find out. The problem I had on this car was this rubber gaiter is wedged up tight against the dash, and in order to free it, rather than pulling it and risk ripping it, I actually had to take the cluster out and release, undo 2 14mm bolts, which just gives you a tiny little bit of movement here, just enough to pull that down and free up that gaiter like so. Just before we start undoing any of those screws, if you haven't done so already, just disconnect the battery. You don't want to run the risk of shorting anything out. Okay, with indicating to turn right, turning the steering wheel, you've got to do this with the engine on, otherwise the power steering pump isn't working. When I turn the steering wheel back again, that indicator stalk should click off, but it's not. If you are investigating the indicator stalk, don't be tempted to undo these Allen bolts to try and gain access. What's likely to happen is you'll undo the Allen bolt and then the nut will fall all the way down the steering column there, and to retrieve it is almost impossible, and to get it back on is pretty difficult. So what I'm going to do to get that nut back on is I'm going to put it in a small spanner like that with a magnet attached to it so that the nut doesn't fall out. Then I'm going to try and get in behind it. Works quite well and allows you to get that back in and one day find the nut when you take the steering to pieces. Now the way these indicator stalks work is when you put the indicator stalk up, you'll see a tiny little piece of plastic come out of here. I'm just going to put the camera down for a sec and show you. So that indicator stalk is up now, and you can see that that tiny bit of plastic is there. And what happens if you move your finger up towards the gauges, you'll see that that actually can move in, whereas if you try and push the thing down, what will happen is if you push it down hard enough, that will spring back into position like that. Now, and that works fine in the up position. Now watch what happens in the down position. So once again, in the down position, you've got this little tag coming out, and what you'd expect to happen is as you move down, you can move that tag in, which you can, which is fine. And as you move up, what you'd expect to happen is that the thing would snap up. But look what's happening. I can actually move this up and down, which basically means there's something broken inside here, because when you push that up, that indicator stalk should click back up. So now I'm just going to make the decision whether to try and take this off and undo all the wiring or not. In the post today, ordered yesterday, is what we hope is the new indicator stalk. Let's have a look at it and see if it's the right one. We'll be excited at that. Shall we? It is no wonder that I couldn't figure out how to detach the steering column, because it actually detaches much further down the steering column with the plug here. So presumably I just need to figure out where that plugs under the dash, unplug it and swap it over. Let's try it. In theory, all we need to do to get this indicator stalk out is unplug it from underneath here. That's the theory. Whether that plug comes off or not after 30 years is another question. Let's try it. Pretty manky, so I think we'll just give that a little clean up before we plug the new one in. Or you can slide that out, if indeed you can. I think we're going to have to undo that there, which is the, I think leads to the horn, and possibly that lead there, whatever that is as well. Indicator wiring did not look like it wanted to come out of there, but in actual fact it did. It comes out that way with the teeth towards the steering column, and you may find you need to just go in at the back down here with a screwdriver just to push it one way to help it out. So we got the old one out. The question is, will the new one fit in there? Where do almost pulled the plug through. Amazingly, it seems to be coming through. I'm just going to have to plug it in there now. We've cleaned that up. I'm going to clip that back onto there and plug the whole thing in and see if it works. You've threaded the wire through and plugged it in. It's just a matter of reconnecting the little brown lead and the black lead, and just to remind you, the brown lead is at the bottom and connects to that, near to that yellow wire, and the black lead is at the top, connects near to the red wire. The only advice I would give when doing this job is make sure that when you put these two screws back in, here and here, there's only two screws holding the stalk on, that you do not cross the threads, because you're screwing into aluminium, and if you do cross the threads and this is not sitting right flush against the steering column, you'll find that the little plastic wedge that comes out doesn't come out far enough, because that's not sitting flush. And just be especially careful when you come to screw that back on. Okay, the moment of truth. Indicator works. A bit dark now, but does it click off when we turn the steering wheel? Yes, it does. Let's try it the other way. Yes, it does. So we can now put everything back together. Test everything out. So I won't test the windscreen wipers because there's something on the windscreen, but that's basically job done.